My name's Ivan Frishberg. I'm the political director for grassroots campaigns, and we work with progressive candidates and campaigns to run field campaigns and fundraising campaigns at the grassroots level. So we work with such groups as Move On, the Democratic National Committee, Center for American Progress, folks in the states working on state ballot measures, all that sort of stuff. I have 3 tips for a local activist who's working to recruit volunteers. The first is cast a wide net and always be recruiting. I mean, I don't know that there are lines for banks anymore, but surely you're in line for coffee, for coffee in the morning, and you might end up talking to somebody about politics. That's an opportunity to recruit. Meeting somebody at a bar and talking about politics, that's an opportunity to recruit. So always be recruiting and talk to as many people as you can. The second is to always ask for more than you think people will do. It's just like fundraising in the sense that if you don't ask, you don't get. We have big goals as a movement, and you want to ask people to do a lot and don't assume that they won't rise to the challenge. You can always go backwards and sort of work from there, but so always ask for more than you think they can do. The third thing that I would suggest for folks is to be very clear about what you're asking the person to do. So the goal, the timeline, how you expect the project to be done, but don't get too bogged down in the details that you forget to talk about the big picture. So the political motivation, the reasons why this person is going to want to volunteer and give their time to the task. For the organizer, the person who's really in charge and has to think through how all of the recruitment is going to work, you want to start with a really good plan. So that means your campaign plan, and recruitment has to be built into it. So how many people are you going to need by the end of your project or by the end of your campaign? How many people are you going to need to help get you those people? What are the different activities along the way that you're going to need people to engage in? So you want to start with a good plan and recruit into your plan as you go. So some of the first things that you're going to do might be recruitment oriented, and some of the last things you might do might be recruitment oriented, but it's all going to be driven by what's in the overall campaign plan. Debriefing is really critical to recruitment and to, more importantly, leadership development. The first thing is you always want to do a debrief, even if it's just a minute or two, but somebody's given you a good chunk of time, a half an hour working on a project. You want to spend some time at the end of it debriefing and making sure that you kind of check in with them. Nobody should just sort of wander off out of the call center or out of the canvas without having that opportunity to talk to the people who are organizing the campaign. The second thing is that you want to take as much time as you can within reason over in that debrief. And really, this is where leadership development happens. This is where somebody's asked to take on the next big project, or where they get an opportunity to reflect on the work that they've just done and think about the politics behind it and what they're going to do next for the campaign. The third thing is to prepare. Spend time ahead of the debrief and really plan it out. So a good debrief, sometimes you're going to be looking at what's the person's history. What have they done with the project so far? What are the different types of activities? You want to look at what the goals were that they've been set up with thus far and how they've met those goals. You want to look at their performance on a particular project so that when you sit down with them, you're really equipped to think about not just what they've done, but also think about the future. What is it the next big thing that you're going to ask them to do? What additional levels of leadership do you think would be in their horizon, in their future? And so if you follow those things and you really spend time and do quality debriefs, that's where the leaders in your campaigns are going to come from. Campaigns don't motivate people because campaigns can't talk, right? You as the organizer of the campaign, the leaders of the campaign, the other volunteers of the campaign, that's where the campaign lives. And so the more time that people spend talking about the campaign and really talking about the vision of it, talking about how it's going to work, how it's going to be effective, that's where you make the campaign motivating. So part of it is just to spend the time and make sure people are equipped with talking points or materials to really be able to talk about the campaign at some depth, that it is going to be motivating to all of the people who are involved with it. The other piece is to make sure that people are going to be motivated by their success. If the first thing that I did in the campaign was successful, you can bet I'm going to want to go on to the next step and really apply myself to that. Because it's, for many people, it's just about their personal success and their experience in it, and so that's a big part of what motivates them. And then the third thing is to always remember to have fun. Fun is what people live for in life, and you know, a little bit of fun at the end of the night or on the weekend after a big campaign event, but make sure there's a good spirit, a good camaraderie, and there's an opportunity for fun somewhere in the campaign. The real trick to developing leaders inside a campaign, and this should always be a priority unless you think your campaign is going to solve all the world's problems, developing leaders should be a top tier priority for your campaign. And that just goes back to some of the fundamentals. Building in a plan for recruitment and leadership development into your campaign plan. So making sure that there's a plan for debriefs, making sure that training and debriefing is built into that plan and built into the job descriptions of the people that are working with volunteers and working with activists. And then making sure that that motivation is built into the plan and that you really are thinking about what it is going to take to motivate people throughout the process and what are the things that they're going to do sort of to step up their leadership. All of that just needs to be built into a plan so that the fundamentals don't just happen by accident or because people are good organizers. They happen because they're kind of planned out and everybody's engaged in them. The key thing in terms of increasing somebody's capacity really has sort of two sides to it. One is you got to ask them. If you don't ask big, if you don't expect big, if you don't ask people to do more than they thought they could do, then they won't ever rise to that level. The second thing is that you want to make sure that they're trained and equipped along the way to do it. So if I ask you to go deliver a set of materials to 5 different press offices, I need to make sure you've got the directions to do it. You understand how the interaction is going to go when you get there. The simplest little things that people need good lists to work with. They need to be trained and role played in how to make a phone call. But the training and the setup is going to make that successful, and that's what's going to lead them to go and do more things. Some of the pitfalls in terms of leadership development are not spending enough time listening to people. I mean, you have a campaign plan and you have goals and you can be very driven towards that, but really you need to spend the time also to listen to people to understand what their experience is like, what they're learning from it, what they need to learn, what else they need to do their job. And spending that time listening in the debriefs is really what helps you to be successful and avoid some of the pitfalls. Some of the more creative ways to engage people and recruit them into the campaign, especially for the first time, that sort of first activity that brings people into the campaigns, often have that mix of fun and action. So come to an event and help us build a prop that we're then going to go use at a demonstration or a rally, you know, later on. So you get people engaged around the kind of fun activity of a group activity, and then that leads to some sort of political action as well. Similarly with potlucks or party type events, you know, there's a lot of social fun ways to recruit people into an event that is political but is going to seem predominantly like fun, but you want to make sure that there's action on the back end that people can lead into. For progressives, grassroots activity and leadership development and building the base is essential. Power comes from 2 things in modern politics. It comes from money and it comes from people. And progressives find their power predominantly in people. And so we need more people to do more things. That's the very simple reality of the campaign. When the people in our organization who call up and they're, you know, from our recruitment office and we're working to recruit more staff for a campaign, and they call up, and one of the first things I'll say on my message machine is, you know, unless you think we have enough people and are doing enough work, you know, call me back. So I know what this is all about. This is finding more people to do more work so that we can make more of the America that we want. When I think about grassroots, I think about the basic equation we just talked about, which is it's about people and money as 2 sources of power. and that our power comes from people, and people is grassroots. And that can look like a lot of different things. It can look like a group of people at a very local level coming together around an activity. It can be national mobilizations that happen through Move On. It can be organized campaigns and field efforts that have a grassroots base to them, i.e. they're done by people on the ground. So there's all sorts of different grassroots, and they meet different goals, but they have this common interest, which is that they're driven by people, talking to other people, recruiting more people, and getting more people to take action. And it's just people-based politics.